Okay, what's going on, guys? And welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, introduce the guest, man.
We have the owner and head coach of Team Rhino, Mr. Andy Ryan. Andy, how are you doing? And I should probably say Tour de France's next Irish hopeful.
Yeah, if you get a blade bike big enough. No, I'm all right, lads. Just dying with a bit of hay fever, so excuse me if I sound a bit blocked up.
I know you sound perfect to us, man. You sound great. How's tricks with you? I saw you've lost a good bit of weight there recently, Andy. Fair play to you.
Yeah, so what with me was I would have been very active years ago, cycle running and all that type of shit, and then I was lifting weights and stuff, and I wasn't able to keep up with the youngness, so I said I'd lift more weights than them. So I used to do a lot of heavy weight lifting and thinking I was great because I was lifting stupid weights in the gym, but it was putting me out of shape and I was piling on the bleeding weight, and you think that you look strong in the gym, but when you look back at photographs, you say, fuck me, I look skills and language now. I look bad. So I'm back on the bike. I'm back running every day, most days, probably 5 days a week, and doing circuit type of training stuff. So I'm enjoying it again.
How much weight would you say you've lost, Andy?
I go up and down all the time. I'd say probably about 25 kilos, I'd say.
Jeez, that's some going. Fair play to you, man. And you look great for it, by the way. I saw your most recent post, back in the gi, looking slim and trendy.
Yeah. I see. I had a lot of injuries over the years. I'd be in doing stupid. I was in the gym trying to, leg pressing 700 kilos, stupid stuff, and then tearing the calf and busting the knee, and then lifting something else the next day, and then I was missing the time on the mat, and then I got myself in the position where I'm in the gym every day, but I'm teaching, but I'm actually not doing anything. And before you know it, you've put 20 kilos on and you're out of shape. Now, the only good thing was, even though I was carrying a lot of weight, I still rolled, I still trained, I still competed, but not to my full potential,
Yeah. Andy, can we just go back to when was Team Rhino founded?
So Team Rhino, as in Team Rhino was probably 2005, 2007-ish. But before that, we had a gym called Horizon Martial Arts. It was a made-up bleed Mickey Mouse name. I sort of had a bit of a club in the late 90s. So I was still doing a bit of judo, I was still competing, and I was mixing about with a bit of MMA, but it wasn't really MMA. It was what we were watching on videos and that type of stuff, and jiu-jitsu around that sort of 98, 99, 2000. So I'm around then, part-time, but full-time 2005.
All right.
Love it. And
it just goes to show how new, like this is so new, Ross, isn't it?
Oh, it really, really is. It's one of the newest yet fast-driving sports I think that's ever existed. I don't think any sport has ever sort of started off in the 90s becoming an actual like sport itself, and then 30 years down the line, like it's one of the most mainstream sports in the world. Like Conor McGregor made more money than any other athlete in the world this year, so like that was very impressive.
But the bad part about that is now we've got to catch up now and do all the stuff that we missed. So we've gone from zero to being this big elite level sport in UFC, and but we've no grassroots foundations, so we have to jump miles back to catch up on all the stuff we left out on,
Yeah, you put the roof on the house before you laid the foundations, I think it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And Andy, what sort of shape is Team Rhino in now with COVID and stuff like that? How have you guys coped?
Yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard on the guys in the gym. Like we've a few pros and some elite amateurs that can train, but they've no really bodies to train with. They get hassled when they go training. So, it is hard. It's been hard on some of our affiliates. I know my gym in Donamead, like it's in a sports centre down there, and they've been shut completely. Like where the gym I have in Fingers, we do have some of the elite lads training, a couple of hours themselves. But it has been hard. But listen, we're getting to the end of it now. We will be back big and strong, like the rest of the MMA community, I think, and I hope.
And obviously, Andy, it was announced this week that Clan Wars is going to come back on the 5th of June. They're going to do Clan Wars 39 and Clan Wars 40 on the same day. I don't know why they didn't just call it the one Clan Wars. It must be a pay-per-view thing. But do you have anyone fighting on those cards?
Yeah, I have a couple of lads. I have Brian Draper. I have Lewis on it. And who else have I got? I was meant to have Adam Darby, but he's injured now at the moment. So I have a couple of guys on it.
He had a big rematch there, didn't he? He was going to fight John, wasn't it?
Yeah, John Bourne. Yeah. Yeah, he's going around. Adam's going around with an elbow the size of a leading tennis ball and a knee the same. So he's in seeing a specialist at the moment. So he's been on antibiotics to take it down, but there's nothing that's happened. So he's going to see a specialist, and you know how hard it is to see a specialist this time of the year. You know,
I imagine so, especially with the hack.
Yeah,
Andy, how hard was it to keep the guys motivated? Because like obviously there was Cage Warriors was meant to be on. It was the date was changed, and Cage XCs were meant to be on as well. So like having to build up for a fight and then hold us off and build up again. Like how hard is it to keep these people still motivated?
It is hard. It is hard. But what we've been doing, we've been doing running sessions, and lads have been, meeting in groups and doing a bit of training since the very first lockdown. You know, I was driving down to the park with kettlebells and barbells in my car, and on a bike, running around the park with them and stuff. So we've been there is a handful of training, but the kids aren't doing anything. That's the thing I worry about. You know, we have a massive kids membership here in jiu-jitsu. They're doing nothing, sitting at home. You know. So it's hard for them. Hopefully we get them back next month, but we'll see. I think people are itching to get back, so we'll see what happens. But it has been hard. It has been hard to motivate certain people. You know what I mean? But that's life, isn't it?
Are you talking about Redzer?
Redzer's always hard to motivate. Now Redzer's one of the ones that I'd have to tell Redzer to take it easy. Hang on a minute. You've done 2 sessions today. You're going to rest tomorrow. You got to rest. He's one that's it's hard to slow down.
And will we see Redzer on the trilogy series, do you reckon?
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. I was only saying to Barry when Redzer got signed, I was like, one win and like he could get a title shot very easily. You know what I mean? In terms of name recognition of lightweights in Europe, he definitely has that. The current Cage Warriors lightweight champion, Aggie, he like I don't think he's that well known, Aggie Sadari, compared to Redzer. So I was like, one win and why not? Like he's definitely of the caliber of fighter to get in there.
Yeah. Hopefully, be honest, they've been giving us a few names, tough names, tough guys. So hopefully, be on it, and it will be against a decent opponent. So that's the big thing. I don't think Redzer's ever got anything easy or anything handed to him, and I think he's got I wouldn't say he's got a fair whip with it from a few promotions, So I think hopefully, he's a couple of years left in him. He gets a good run at it.
Yeah, we had him on, and he told us a story about was it UFC fight night in Scotland, and he had to cut down to featherweight, and that was over a year ago, Ross. But no, shout out Redzer, we'll have him on again in the build up of Cage Warriors. Like Andy, obviously you've seen the rise of everything. You also had like the likes of Siri and Redzer on the UFC, and now things like time has gone on, and Bellator coming in and taking over sort of Ireland, and now things have sort of changed again. Like the way like the people are going on the shows like Brave, and then also like the obviously KSW's out there, and then more people are they're looking around going to different organizations. What sort of way would you talk to your students now? Because like obviously a lot of people come in and want to be in the UFC, because obviously why not? Because they look up to Conor. But would there be what sort of way would you encourage someone, or if someone came to you being like, I want to become the best of the best, but do I have to just like what sort of way do you map out a route for these up and coming like athletes?
So at one stage, it's changed. So at one stage before we had any sort of proper MMA, amateur scene or amateur gateway or pathway, you sort of fought in the UK scene, which I think a lot of new fighters nowadays don't do, which you should do. We've always fought in the strike and submits and these competitions around the UK, London, and all over, Scotland and stuff, and Wales, being in small little sports halls, the big stadium. I think that's what's missed. You need to be competing at that because you're learning how to, the traveling, the cutting weight, the whole thing,
Yeah.
And then the likes of the Cage Warriors, that was your next step. You made Cage Warriors. If you were on the top 1 or 2 in Cage Warriors, you were sort of classed as the top 1 or 2 in Europe. You got the show for the UFC or bigger shows, right? That has changed. There's no really need for, like, you wouldn't see it in other sports. Guys have 6 amateur fights and they go pro. Are they really going pro? No, they're fighting pro rules. They're still working or living at home or still training the exact same. Nothing has changed. They're not professional athletes, So for me, the IMAF is the way to go. I wasn't really pushing it until I went to the first event. I just thought, another event. And then I went and I cut my judo background where it's competition. I'm not going to a fight like the UFC. I'm going to a competition. That's the big thing. It's a competition, You might have 1 fight, you could have 5 fights in a week. If you lose the fight, it's not the end of the world. Or go to the next competition. It's a competition. You meet these guys. These guys in the IMAS have 20, 30, 40 fights before they have that pro fight. It's massive. if you can't win an amateur title, you know, at a NIMAF level, is there really any need to go pro? Maybe you might want to chance it and try it, but to make that big structure, look at the UFC now, look at Brave, look at the big ones. Most of the guys that go to these shows are coming from a NIMAF gold medal winning position. You know, that's the way it seems to be going with a lot of shows. But when I went to the IMAF and I seen, hang on a minute here, there's all these countries here. This is like when I go to the judo events. This is serious. The Russians are here. You know, we were at the last one in Bahrain, and I think it was the Kazakhstan team, had 60-odd people on the team. They'd gone out a month before to acclimatise. They had doctors, physios, helpers, drivers with the team. It was crazy, you know.
Jesus, yeah.
The level is gone, like the way the amateur boxing, the judo, the wrestling. That's why it's that Olympic type of sport they're pushing. So for me, that's the pathway now. But we need loads of more MMA amateur events to happen in Ireland. And we got to forget about this record a bit. Like, you would never see guys in an amateur boxing saying, I have a fight coming up, I've got to do a 12 or 16-week camp. You would never. My young nephew has just gone pro there, his first pro fight. I think he's 220 amateur boxing fights. You know, so if that was MMA, you wouldn't do that. You know, imagine having 6 amateur boxing fights and going pro. It wouldn't be heard of, you know. So I think we got to slow things down a little bit, enjoy that amateur level. You know, when you go to that, we went to that competition in Bahrain. The Bulgarians had top of the range teams. The Russians, the Bahrainians, the French. You know, they had all. I knew bumped into some of the coaches. There was ex-Olympian judo and boxing, wrestling coaches involved in the teams. It's serious stuff. Until you go and look at that and you see it, it's the way to go. You know, so that's the pathway for me. Come in here, try and get on the likes of the Clan Wars and the Cage Legacies and our own battle zones and the Cage Wars. That's great. But to make that next level, the level of the athletes at that IMAS is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think one of the most famous people who's done it is Mohamed Makayev. I remember seeing him at it, and I knew, I think it was a Japanese fighter or something he got drawn against, and apparently it was like their amateur debut, and like he was in there, he was 23-0 at the time or something like that, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, like he had like absolute lamb to the slaughter, because the first round, I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, is non-seeded, isn't it? I think you're just random draw out of the hat, and usually at the World, not they'll seed you, so they'll seed the World, European, the Oceanic champions, all the stuff like that. You know, you're not going to be at the start. You know, but that's the level. That's the level going. Plus, when I go to these events, I always look for the coaches. So we went to the first few events. The Swedish team were the top team. They were the top team for a long time in amateur MMA. And I'd grab the coach and I'd say, you know, what's working, what's not working? How do you look at this? How does your team structure work? Who's coaching? I asked them all the questions, and they say, well, look, it's 3 minutes. So you can't afford to waste time. You got to have some sort of decent enough hands. Take your opponent to the ground. Control them for the 3 minutes. Don't get injured. That's your first fight, day one over. Maybe the finals, you can go a bit more wild up. You can't. So it's a competition. You got to have to be a competitive fighter. It's not that Saturday night event, you know. So when these guys make that pro debut, they have experienced all that, fighting different guys from around the world, different levels. They know how to play the game. They know how to play. Okay, I'm fighting this wrestler. I'm fighting a kickboxer. They've done it so many times, you know. And is their head coach from All Stars? Is he Andy?
No, there's all different coaches. There's a few different guys there. Some are from All Stars, but there's a few different coaches there involved. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's Roy Nelson, the Ultimate Fighter 10 style, getting down in the crucifix position. You know, finish him and take no damage.
It's the game. So you go in there and you get cut in your first fight, and you're the best in the world. You are gone. You got to do medical every morning. So you're up every morning to weigh in. You're up at 6 in the morning. You weigh in. You do a medical. Then you go have your breakfast. Then you're on the bus to compete at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's not like a big fight night. It's a competition. So you got to be clever. You got to be fit. You got to make sure you're fighting at the right weight category. You're not cutting massive amount of weight and no point in cutting loads of weight, making the fight the first day, winning the fight, and then the second day you can't make weight and you get disqualified. You know, so there's a lot of thinking involved in it and a lot of competitive mindset involved in the amateur game.
Do you think it could get interesting if the Americans get involved? Because I don't think they're involved at the moment. They're not.
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. The big team. Yeah. They have a big team. Sure. The Worlds were held there in 2016. They cleared up in the youths in Italy, the European Open. They had a team over there. The only team that gave the Russians a run for the money. And what they had was, what the Americans had was, they had good boxing, good wrestling, but they had really good jiu-jitsu. So when the Russians took them down, their jiu-jitsu level was very high for the kids. I think they could have been the biggest medal winner that weekend.
Oh, interesting. I've never really heard anything about their team, which is strange.
Yeah,
I've heard about
your man JT, the Torres, the superstars, the bantamweight boy, whatever. He was an IMAF champion. Yeah, a few of the guys have gone on to be big stars. I think a couple have fought in the UFC now.
I'll have to make sure I definitely look out for them, because I think it is sort of the new stomping ground for amateur mixed martial arts, where people really do make a name for themselves. And I think one thing that they're probably missing over in Ireland is more of a TV deal somewhere, or to actually to watch it. I think that's probably the biggest thing they're missing over here. Do you think that could be happening down the line?
I think anything like that, you look at Katie Taylor, unbelievable, best boxer in the world. Nothing on RTE and TV about her, So what chance have we got? You know what I mean? If it's not GAA or rugby, forget about it.
Well, times are changing, so I mean, they should start putting up on YouTube channels and stuff.
I used to put the Battle Zone on TV on what was the thing we used to have it on? The Irish Sports.
Air Sports, was it?
Or something like that.
Satanta?
Air Sports, was the other one. Satanta.
Yeah.
So I put all the Battle Zones. That used to cost us money to do it, but we used to record it and do it. And they were very good to us. They used to put the shows on. Yeah, it was great. So, unless you do it yourself, you're not going to do it.
I must say, Andy, actually, the first ever amateur MMA event I went to was a Battle Zone. My brother actually worked with Sean Paul Power and Owen Drumgrule, and I went to watch that. It was actually on the Regency Hotel at the time. And
they were great events.
They actually were. They're actually incredible events. My sort of question from being at them is, how hard are they to put on?
Yeah, very hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
So one of those events I had done the posters and I had everything up and then all the flights and everything paid for. I had guys coming from England. I actually had a guy coming from America. We put a lot of money out and everybody in the poster didn't fight on that show. We had to change the whole card. I had actually guys coming, weighing in the day before for the weigh-in, getting on the scales for the weigh-in, going home then and deciding they don't want to fight and not fighting them. Crazy stuff. Crazy. But we tried to do with them Battle Zones. We used to do the press conference the night before. I tried to do like the Japanese look, we did the press conference after the weigh-in and make a big deal of it. And went down okay in Satanta, but it was hard. It was hard work. It was hard work. But we got some of the best fights in Ireland out of it. We had some of the best shows out of it.
Oh, absolutely. What's called? I remember I went to the toilet and then I came out with the Jackson. Someone's like, "Did you see the head kick knockout?" And I was like, for fuck's sake.
And we brought over the American team as well. We did Ireland versus UK. We did America versus Ireland. So that cost us money. But like for me, I was pushing the sport. I was getting my lads in the gym fights. So that's what I was happy about.
Well, that's why we were one of the pioneers of the game in Ireland, Andy. That's why it is.
Well, I think like I do forget sometimes it's my job, and I still look at it as sort of hobby or whatever. But it's not. It's my job, and that's all I do full time. But you do need to push them shows. We need them back. We need the Battle Zones. We need the Cage Legacies. We need the Rumble and Rush cows around. We need all them back because we are lacking with them. Like guys now are going pro and saying calling out Bellator or the UFC or something. Hang on a minute. Get in and fight in the Rumble and Rush in Rush Village with a load of headbangers roaring at you, against a tough Irish guy or a UK guy. They have a great fight. John Dolly, Philip Peter, in the Regency. There's some great pro fights in them cards. We had a show in the Trinity Sports Centre years ago, Cage of Truth, I think it was. And we had Neil Seary on that card. We had Conor McGregor. We had Cottle Pendrick, Chris Fields, Gunny Nelson, Ashleen Daly.
Are you sure you don't talk about UFC Dublin?
Yeah, that's what it was like. But we had that in the sports hall. And that's what I think is lacking now. Guys have 6 MMA fights, decide they want to go pro, and can't understand why Bellator is not signing them and they're not getting £100,000 TV deal and sports card off for them. You know what I mean?
We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, well, I still don't know why the lotto doesn't rig it how I win it each week as well,
Yeah, I know.
Andy, actually, you just touched on Neil Seary there. How's he getting on?
He's actually here now coaching the pro lads at the moment, yeah.
Ah, geez.
He's very involved still.
No, that's great to hear because I didn't think he ever would, but it'd be terrible if someone like him retired and then, sort of fully walked away from the game. But great to see he's here.
No, he's in the gym all the time. Before lockdown, he's probably here 5 days a week.
There we have it. That's dedication to the cause. Like I always sort of found it so. I don't know why I found it funny, but like the way he fought in the UFC and then he'd be showing up for work on Monday. I was like, that's like he's such a blue collar guy. I mean, you can't
same as Redzer as well. Same as Redzer out in the construction site. Same with a lot of people actually.
Well, they have to. They have to.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah,
because nobody's going to pay the bills for them. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. But I was like, you think they get that week off work, But sure, look, you have to still do that family holiday, otherwise the missus be on your case.
So say for Syria, I think Syria had to have like a decent sponsor, or had to have a decent, say, a good wage in the UFC. He could have taken a year or 2 years off and making a run. I think he was good enough to win that flyweight title. I just think he was working. What he used to do was he used to go meet us in the morning at 6, do strength and conditioning or his pads, go into work, do a day's work, meet us after work, do another session, go home, have a kip, have something to eat, and go back in the gym in the evening. That with 5 kids, it's hard, And I could see his last 2 fights, that's what took it out of him, But I think if you had to have that little bit of a break, not needing to go to work, he could have gone to that next little level.
You know what? He was always someone I looked at and went, no one ever was going to go in there and batter Neil Sear.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he was always in the fight from start to finish. And I think you're right. I think he was maybe missing that 5-10% that he was given elsewhere, that these guys are giving their whole to. But what an athlete, what a competitor, and what a guy.
We had the lads in ranking top team saying to us, nobody can put this guy away. And if he was given a year to train full time without the worries of work or without financial stuff, he could have made that next level. He could have, looking for that belt or I think he was good. He was tough enough to do it.
He definitely was.
Yeah. Andy, as like things begin to sort of open up in Ireland, and like obviously we have the Clan Wars date on 5th of June. Like what are you sort of looking at for to gain out of the rest of the year? Like obviously that's on. Is there what else are you looking beyond that?
Well, we're looking at the trilogy and Cage Warriors. We're hoping to get a body on that too, and maybe if Cage Legs get a show back up, and we're probably going to run a show ourselves. I'm actually in the process of sorting out a show with Danny Carr for the amateur guys on that sort of IMAF type of base. July in Belfast, no crowds, no fans, no tickets, no selling tickets. Sports hall, cage up. Going to try and get 2 cages as we can. You come in, you fight, no big deal. Try and get as many guys on as we can to give them a bit of experience. Except Danny Carr going to do that. So that's a goal for me to get maybe my young lads in here and the fellas that can't get on the shows onto that, and take that burden away of that you got to sell tickets and stuff, which is great as well. And I'm really happy that Clan Wars is back. I think it's a great show. They really put on one of the best shows. I'm a big fan of theirs. But I think we need to have that show for the guys below that level as well. So it's not a show, an event where they can come and compete. So that's that. But for me, as with the IMA, I'm pushing for more squad sessions and more team training. When you go away, you look at the Russians and the French and all the big countries. They're there as national teams. We need to be a national team. So I want more of that. So I want the fellas mixing together, And so that's my goal this year, is probably push the squads, push that amateur event, and support the likes of the Clan Wars and the Cage Legacies. And I think I will put a show on again myself. I'll put a Cage Wars Contenders or a Battle Zone on. Definitely, maybe September, October. Hopefully that's the goal. Plus, we're doing a national. Plus, we're doing an IMA Elite Irish Championships in September.
And whatever you do, keep us in the loop. Let us know. We'll definitely promote for you.
Definitely. We love promoting this stuff. If you haven't seen, we had a few like in the build up to the last Clan Wars before it was rearranged. We had 2 face-offs, 2 girls and 2 guys taking like in face-offs, and it was great crack, and everyone loved it. And we were trying to just promote it. The more and more people that see the stuff, more and more people know it's on, and then the more and more people look forward to it and spend money and look forward to it. It's
and people sometimes, I listened to your podcast and I listened to the last time, and sometimes a bit of confusion with the IMA thinking we're only sending away a superstar or someone that's John Kavanagh's buddy. It doesn't work like that. Your club's got to be an affiliated club. So we get people that say to us, can I go for the trials? Yeah, no problem. Is your club a member? No. Are you a member? No. Well, I can't get down to the Irish Boxing Championships, the All-Irelands, and tournaments. I'm going to box. Well, what boxing club are you from? You take out so that's part of it. So, that's the big thing there. And once you make that qualifying spot, you can go. You got to pay your own way to go. I know it's hard. I pay my own way to go to coach people. So that's I just do it because it has to be done. Someone has to do it. And a bit of luck down the road, we might get some sort of sponsorship.
Well, that's why we wanted to talk about this, Ross. And we wanted to really put get it sort of known what's the sort of situation around the Irish scene, because like the way obviously yourself, it's rock hard to get anyone, as we said earlier, like RT promoting anything they can if they want to get the views, they'd be first person to post something about someone winning something, but I mean. If more people know exactly what the route is to follow the ladder up, then more people are invested as well. I think that was what me and Ross's goal was, to have yourselves.
The big thing with me is
the knights of the round table, Ross would say.
Yeah, the big thing with me, I still get coaches ringing me saying, "What's the qualifying for the Worlds? You've got to be on the squad, so come to the squad sessions." Because I say to the guys, if you can't make it to Cork, Dublin, or Belfast for a squad session, how are you expected to make the St. Petersburg or Russia, or to Bahrain, or to Florida, whatever? How are you going to? You can't be relying on to travel 100 miles in your own country. You're going to turn up 500, or 1,000 miles away somewhere. So you got to do the work here. And the other big thing as well I push for is that if you qualify a spot on the team, you come to all the squad sessions, and if your coach wants to come with you, no problem. Nothing better than having your own coach in the corner. We'll go a second to help him out, but he must be part and parcel of the team. If you come over, you're not just going to help out. I'm not going to help out my guy Adam Barbie and then piss off for the week and have a holiday. No, I'm there with the team. We're there with the team. The other big thing, what you see as well is that you might see a Spanish guy in the final. The whole Spanish team are there to support him. They're not going out on the piss or going on holidays. They're there at a sports event. It's not a holiday. That's the big thing I get to people said. You're not going away on holidays. You're going away to compete, represent your country, represent your club, represent your family. So you got to go over there with your head held high and support everybody, and everyone's there to help each other out. So that's the big thing as well, so it's a big thing for me.
So either what you're saying, Andy, is either you're all in or good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, you better believe it, yeah.
I know we were just talking about RTE there, but that'd be great for them to do a fly in the wall documentary of like the absolute grassroots of Irish MMA and to stick it up on the TV. I mean, or even put it on the RTE player. But no, like Andy, like as you said earlier, you've been checking out myself and Ross's shows, like just getting into the grassroots of Irish MMA, because it's something we're massively passionate on, and it's great to get like the head coaches of the gyms telling exactly what's sort of going on, and the people that follow the show, they know exactly what's going on, and also who to look out for as well, Ross.
You wouldn't believe the amount of work that Tim Murphy and Liam and Dino Wade now do with the government, the Sports Council, and different ministers and all. It's mental. I tell them I haven't got a clue. I'm not good at any of that stuff. I'll do stuff with the mats, I'll go to the meeting, I'll travel, I'll do anything like that. But the amount of paperwork they're doing, and it's crazy. Solicitors in, auditors in to do books, meeting banks. It's crazy stuff. And if it wasn't for Tim Murphy, Clive, the likes of them guys, we would be dead in the water. We'd be left behind. It's massive the amount of work they do. And I don't think people see that. People think you can just, all right, we're going to have an association, right? Okay, we're going to the World Championships. No, it doesn't work like that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Andy, you're damn right. It is absolutely crazy. And I was only seeing today because someone actually put a tweet out, and they were saying it was actually about the HSE cyber attack, and they were saying that they give 76.8 million euro to horse racing, 19 million to greyhound racing, and then 5 million for cyber security. I was like, geez, like if you gave the lads $1 million in MMA, just $1 million, like that'd be your IMAFs done for the year. You know what I mean? I was like, it can go a very, very long way. So like maybe the MMA community in Ireland is huge. Maybe we need a petition for the government to give some form of funding to MMA.
They'll tell you to get on the queue. How many sports is there? Like even Olympic sports. Like I competed at the high level in the judo. I was an elite athlete. I was on the carding system, the scheme and stuff. And we got buttons. So they don't even look at us unless it's GAA, rugby, or golf. You forget about it.
Well, maybe we have to try though, Andy. Maybe you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, but maybe we got to do it ourselves, as you say. Maybe we got to try and fund some sort of TV program or some sort of if we do go up to a certain level where we can. Maybe run a national championships, and maybe the likes of the, some sort of Irish sports station say to them, okay, we're going to run a national championships, look for local sponsors to come on board to pay, for advertisement. I mean, we can fund stuff out of that,
Definitely.
These are the conversation happening now as well. So I mean, like once things start to open up again and start properly run the train, the wheels are back on the track. Then once you can show all these people wanting to go and paying and everything, then you can show you actually have like I know it is a proper product, but then you can move on to the next level. Really.
Yeah. So like even as we're doing that, we need all the clubs to be so they look at your books and look where you're coming from and many members you are. So it's like MMA is very much. I'm not taking the membership out, but if you're in any other type of martial art, you take your grade, your membership, or your license, whatever you want to call it out. You have your membership to the association, and you pay for your grades, and that's how the association brings in money, and that's how then with that money, then they can we're going to run coaching course, we're going to run a grade, we're going to run a seminar, we're going to run these things, and then we bring money in from then again. Then like even when we run our squad sessions, I just say to the lads, look, we've got to do some sort of cover, some sort of charge, maybe €10 per person. And the gym that's supplying the venue for the day, they can get a cut of it, or the money can go into a pot down for down the road if someone's stuck going away, or maybe help cover the coaches' expenses if they're flying out and paying their own way out. So there are all things we talk about and trying to do. Now, nothing has really happened with the lockdown, but I think we got to do it ourselves first before we wait for someone else to do it. If we're waiting for your RTA to come to do it, we'll be waiting all over.
You're waiting a while.
Yeah, what's called, we'll be waiting for the houses to be affordable before that happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it was great. I mean, if one good thing out of this lockdown, like bar mental health getting fucked up and down, is like there's been path and progression through all this sort of conversation and just being like, right, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But like, obviously there was some MMA action over the weekend and so on this weekend. But Ross, is there anything else we want to say about the Irish MMA scene as well?
No, I think we covered a majority of it there, and it was great to get future insight. Great to get insight off someone who's ran their own show and ran their own promotion, and then it's good to see that Irish MMA at its grassroots level is coming back. And you learn something every day. The Americans are in the IMA. I'll definitely be checking them out. But
they have a lot of good champions who've gone pro from it. Yeah, they're some good guys.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe their outlets, which I follow, are quite bad at promoting it over there as opposed to our outlets here. But I get most of the IMA stuff off our guys, if you know what I mean. I think the media coverage could be maybe a bit better for across different channels. Is there any website that's particularly good for Andy?
No, just the IMA page itself, really, chase it up. We're only talking about that for our own. Quite a few ideas before the lockdown. I was saying that, maybe for our own IMA, that we have, like, say, the Instagram, where we give one of the fighters access to the Instagram for the week, and he does his week's training and post up his week, and then the next week a different club or a different fighter has the Instagram and that type of stuff, and then the lads, if you're going to do like a little short podcast with information about what's happening in the Irish scene, that's going to happen as well. So it is happening. So little small things like that.
Yeah, well, they go a long way.
That's good.
They go a long way.
Yeah,
that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Well,
go on, Basmo. UFC 262.
Okay, Andy, we didn't only get you on to tell us everything about what you just spoke about, but over the weekend, as you may have seen, Charles Oliveira defeated Michael Chandler in the second round by TKO at UFC 262. What did you make of that win for Charles Oliveira, Andy? Like, what a story! 11 years since making his debut in the UFC, and then goes on to become the lightweight champion.
He's some good. He is some fighter. He's an all-round guy. I don't watch as many of the UFC as I used. I think there's too many of them on sometimes. So I'd like to watch them a day or two after and watch them as a coach sometimes, But for me, him and Chandler, I think Chandler will be the champion eventually. But I think he was sort of looking for that belt too quickly. I thought he was caught lovely. The shot was a lovely shot. But I think I'm glad he won. I'm glad Oliveira won the fight. I think he deserved it. He's been shit hot, hasn't he? Really, the last few years. I think he's one of the best guys to watch. One of the best guys to watch in the UFC.
Yeah, no, because Ross, we were saying in the build-up to the event over the weekend that if because it was in Texas, massive USA state, and like if Chandler had won with a knockout, jumped on top of the octagon, done his flip as he always does, held up the flag, done his corny WWE shout out, that would have been massive ratings for the winner against either Poirier or McGregor.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
I think Oliveira is a dangerous guy for anybody. A dangerous guy, and I think does Conor or Poirier want to fight him? I don't know. I think Chandler would have been a better fight for him, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, you're totally right, and he brings up such a like different arsenal to most other fighters I've seen. Obviously, his low calf kicks is very impressive. Obviously, he's got power in his hands. That left hook was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. He's got more submission wins than anyone in UFC history. And then obviously when we saw against the Tony Ferguson fight, like he's got excellent takedown skills as well. Yeah. So he really, really is, as you say, a complete all-rounded mixed martial artist. You know what I mean? Crazy to think he had 27 fights.
He's developed with the game, hasn't he? His game has developed. When you look at him for it, you think, submission guy only, and then he's dropping guys with hands, and he's a good wrestler, and he's good all-rounder, you know. He's a dangerous fight for anybody, and he has that belt now, and you say, oh, he is a good champion. You know, you can start. Some people might have the belt and say no, but he is good. He's going to be hard to top there. You know,
he definitely is, and I think it'll be so man to beat him. He did get caught in the first round.
Yeah, do you remember the first round? He had his head on the ground. He's like dodging the punches. Like, well, I can't believe he came back and won that. Yeah, sorry for
it. What's called, but that's the thing. Michael Chandler is also his game as they come. You know, I mean, he has heavy hands. I think obviously the height differential was massive in that fight. I don't think he would have fought someone as long previously. Not that I can recollect anyway. Not in any recent fights. And I think that was the difference.
Do you not think as well that Chandler might have having that thing in his head of that he's had to get the knockout in the last fight? You know, this is for the belt, the money in the door here. Yeah. He's not thinking of Oliveira properly. He's thinking, I'm just going to smack him. I'm going to knock him out. And, you know, I think sometimes he might have been 100%, you know, committed to that fight properly as a fighter. He was probably thinking of the belt, the Conor fight after it, you know.
Yeah, he's been literally non-stop. He hasn't been able to sit down and take it all in.
I think he was thinking of the promo after the fight before.
And that's the bottom line.
The shot that dropped him, like you start to say, it wasn't if it was light and quick. It was a great crisp shot, but it was something that you'd say, you know, he should have been well aware of that shot coming, you know.
I'm sure he's watching that back in like slow-mo, being like, how did I let that happen? Because I'm not going to say it was like a sloppy left hook, but it wasn't from nowhere. It was a bit hippie, if that makes sense. It was like it was from the hip. But look, as we said, you know, although what a great first round as well. You know, Charles Oliveira, he took his back, and then Chandler did like a back slam on him at one stage as well. It was crazy to see. But yeah, the lightweight division is very, very interesting. I don't know if we'll get you on before McGregor Poirier, Andy, but what do you think of that fight? And do you think the winner's up next?
I hope McGregor wins it, but
same.
I think if Poirier keeps the head, you know, doesn't get caught up in the bullshit back and forths, keeps the chin down, and doesn't get clocked in the first two rounds, I think it's going to go the same way. A lot of people are saying calf kicks. He got beaten on the ground. You know, he didn't get beaten with the calf. Calf kicks are part of the game. Conor's around a long time, you know, so I think that takes a little bit of weight. And Poirier was a better man today. I think the weight suits him, you know, better than the 66. I think if McGregor was to go back to training with John in the HQ, not in the boy or them places, and training with the lads in the gym, all the guys in the gym, I think he'd be a different animal. Yeah, it must be very hard for him, all that money in the bank. He's in great shape, he's very fit. I think that little bit of desire in the brain, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Trained in Dublin, he was a different animal, I think, you know, and I think it's hard to justify that. But listen, maybe after the loss, he'll come back with that little burn of desire for the win, just to you know, to sort of to clinch that and say, well, that second fight was a lucky fight. But I think going by the last fight, if Conor doesn't change things around, I think it's Poirier's fight. But as an Irishman, I'm rooting for Conor.
Yeah, obviously. You see, I just saw Alan Joban retired. He was on Air Hawani show describing like how his body's changed over the few years, and why like he said that he felt like he lost that animal primal instinct in himself when he was getting attacked. That he didn't really have it, the prime instinct to lash back out. And I think this sort of comes down to like that's what I think everyone's going to be asking of Conor now at UFC 264. Does he still have that primal animal that can really lash out again? Because if it goes into a slugfest, he could really just realize I don't really need to be in here around 4 and championship rounds around 4 and 5. He already has all the money his heart desired. He said once he made the money, he retired. So I think that's really is one of the main biggest questions. Does he really have it in him to go again? Whereas Poirier is a junkyard dog, you know, I would say, you know.
Yeah. and Poirier what needs that to get that belt. Connor's had 2 belts, so, and Connor has the money, and Connor has the skill and has all the attributes. He has the hands, he's good wrestling, and he's a very skillful fighter. He didn't get where he was for not being a skillful fighter. But I just hope he has that little bite still in him, and I hope he's still that bit of desire,
Yeah, Ross, what you make it of Forbes #1? Do you think he still has the bite?
I actually think it was incredible that he's Forbes #1, and I think it's something that sort of almost overlooked. I think that's something to be celebrated for an Irishman to be #1, regardless what your personal opinion is on him. Some people don't like him, some people do like him, but that's some achievement. I think a large amount of that came from the whiskey sale, but like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? He made the investment. He's an absolute marketing juggernaut as is. And he's done some great things for the country. You know what I mean? He helped out Phil Mulpeter when his gym was struggling. He donated to PPE. He sponsors a lot of football teams. He's a big donator in Crumlin Children's Hospital. So you have to give credit where credit is due on that. And
listen, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. That's the thing. He's one of our own. So it's great to see one of our own doing well. It's a real Irish thing, you do someone doing well, fuck him, so like him or not like him, he's done it like he's.
Yeah. I wish everyone said what's it called, fuck him about me, and I had that money, I'd be laughing.
Yeah.
Andy, what do you make of him out in Dubai? He doesn't really seem to have any training partners out there. Owen Roddy and John Kavanagh flew out there today. I saw you threw a picture with John Mitchell there the other day from Cork.
He just had a kid as well today, by the way.
He did actually shout out. But what do you make of that, Andy? With obviously he has I think he's going to spend the next 8 weeks away from the family. I think he's going to fly them back, and he's going to stay out there full training camp. But how would you foresee a camp going with no sparring partners that were aware?
Well, I say he'll bring his sparring partners out. He's always done that. Even when he was in Vegas, he'll bring his team out. So I say in the next few weeks, he'll probably just be the next week or two. He could just be doing pads and whatever else he's doing, getting set in shape. But I'd say the sparring partners are either over there or they're on the way over. We don't know who he's sparring with or training with, but he always has buddies there to train with. I think when we were in Portugal last time, there was about 25 guys there. Was there in the whole camp?
Yeah, I know Dylan Moore and Will O'Hayden were there for the boxing side of things. Do you think the game plan will change from that boxing stance? Obviously, that was massively talked about. I know you sort of talked about the lead leg kick. Maybe do you think Phil Sutcliffe will be in his corner this time out?
I don't know. And Phil is in his corner, but still he has to listen to John. John's his MMA coach. This is the thing I look and say, okay, what won him the Cage Warriors world title? Coaching with John Kavanagh, training with the lads in SBG, and the HQ. Like, they're a rival team to me, but I have to say that's the best in the country, one of the best in Europe probably at the moment, with bodies there. John got him to the first world title. What's the difference of that going for the UFC world title? For me, there's none, So listen to the coach. Listen to the coach. Let the coach at the timetable tell you when you're training, when you're not training, who you're training, what's the schedule. So I think go back old school a little bit and just do the basics, And I think if he gets his bodies out, I'd say King Cowley be probably flying out, and a few of the guys he has, I'd say he'll be okay.
And do you think maybe your voice be John Kavanagh should pick the sparring partners going forward, and it should almost be back to Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid?
Yeah.
That's my loving that reference.
Why not?
That was a good one.
Why not? Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I just can't.
I would have loved him to come to Dublin and do his camp in SBG HQ at the Goyas.
Would he not have the place rammed though? Like, Andy, he's one of the big superstars. They'll have everyone knocking on the door, climbing on the roof.
Man, lock the door in there. You're training with the bodies that are in there, that gym. The bodies, because they're all hungry there. So you're going to be training with hungry guys. No,
I get you. I totally get you.
I actually think I prefer that idea, and also I think you have even more control over your food and stuff back here, and like the quality of food over here is brilliant. So
yeah, but listen, he's the best chef in the world.
Yeah, I think Tristan's over him the whole time.
He doesn't have that worry. He's not worried about that.
The caviar.
True that. Well, but one thing you can't get over there. One thing you can't get over there is a good pint of Guinness. You know what I mean? So not that he should be on it, but he definitely missed the Guinness.
I say he could fly it in if he wanted it.
That's it. Andy, co-main event. Co-main event saw Beneil Dariush beat Tony Ferguson. I think the narrative here is not how great Beneil Dariush is. Do you think it's time for Tony Ferguson to hang them up? He's 37 now, 3-fight losing streak. What's your take on it?
Well, he's not to prove to anybody, has he? You know,
No, definitely not.
Yeah, at that age and at them wars he's had, maybe it is time to hang the gloves up. Because I look at Cowboy and I think Cowboy should hang the gloves up. Is Tony gone as bad as that? I don't know. Everyone's talking about Tony going to be, you know, the next UFC champion. He's going to kick everyone's asses, and it just didn't happen, you know. So
yeah, he didn't have that Dana White privilege.
Maybe it is time, or maybe he's trying to take a little bit of a break, come back and just do one more fight, see how it goes, you know.
Yeah, what would you reckon? What would you reckon of he fought Cowboy in a loser leaves town match?
Oh yeah, but I think Cowboy lose.
Yeah, well, they've already fought and he's already lost. Although it was one of those TKO doctor stoppages. Basmo, anything else in that card? Oh, actually, big shout out to, I think his name is Muniz. He armbar Jacare and he didn't get a performance bonus. Andy, would you absolutely be good if you were him?
Round one.
I didn't see that fight. Yeah, but Jacare is one of my favorite fighters.
Same.
I think he's unbelievable. Yeah. A brilliant jiu-jitsu player around a long time. That's what people forget. He's around a long time.
Yeah.
And to armbar him is something special.
And imagine not getting the bonus after armbarring Jacare. That's disgraceful, isn't it?
Crazy, yeah. Crazy.
That is disgraceful. But Andy, this weekend, Rob Font's taking on Cody Garbrandt, and they're back in the Apex. Cody Garbrandt's had such a crazy career from the going to the highest of highs, and then all of a sudden 3 knockouts in a row. He's coming off a win now. What are you expecting from this one? Because 3 knockouts in a row. I know he won his last one, but once you lose your chin, it's sort of gone, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it the weight cutting that? You know, I think the weight cutting, if the weight cutting is wrong, that's when you lose that chin. You know, you're losing that fluid around the brain. What?
He's been growing the beard to block the chin, by the way.
Yeah.
It's getting longer and longer.
I think it's more to do with that fluid in the brain, and it's that weight cut. It's hard. I mean, you get in there, when you do take that shot, you can't recover as good, you know. And sometimes when fighters get a bit older, the weight cutting is a little bit harder. And you do see guys getting dropped or getting beaten a little bit, you know, easier than they did before. So if he has the weight cut in shape, in boxed off properly, and he's looking good, I think there's no reason why we can't see him up to the top again. You know, it is hard to climb that ladder again. You know what I mean? After losing a couple of fights,
especially in that division.
Yeah.
And also, Rob Font's no mean feat either. You know what I mean? He's been around for a while.
I don't know much about him.
He trains out of Boston. He's Calvin Catter. He'd be his main sparring partner as well. He's a long rangey guy as well, so it would be interesting to see. I'm sure he's probably about 6'1", I'd say, and Garbrandt's probably 5'7", so there'll be quite a discrepancy in the heights between them. But I don't know. Rob Font's got a few big wins there recently. I'm still going to go for Cody Garbrandt because we actually saw him lose to TJ Dillashaw UFC 217. And just see someone's heartbreak like that, you'd love to see them climb back to the mountain. Not many people can go back and win a UFC title after losing it.
Yeah. We put up a poll. 12 people voted for Rob Font to win this weekend, and 119 voted for Cody Garbrandt. So, so we can see which way that's going. Also, in the co-main event for people that want to check it out, Yan Xiaonan is taking on Carla Esparza. This would be a number 1 contender spot for the strawweight division. Ross, who are you expecting to win this one?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Carla Esparza win it, just because that would actually set up a rematch against Rose Namajunas to create the inaugural strawweight belt. So I think a lot of people have written Carla Esparza off. She's a very sort of grinding wrestling style, and I'm going to say Carla Esparza. I'm sure she's quite a big underdog going into the fight, but that's who I'm going to pick.
Andy, would you have a pick there?
I won't give a shit. I'm only joking. I think whoever wins anyway, if they do fight Rose is dipping cat and fish. And what's the Chinese girl's name again? What's her name again?
Wei Li Zhang.
Yeah, I think the two of them in that division, it's hard to put anybody by them. I think, is there going to be a rematch there before she defends against someone else? Or
it looks that way. I would imagine it hasn't been announced yet, but Dana White said that. I think your one Wei Li Zhang, when she fought previously, I think she did something like 3 million pay-per-view buys in China. I think she brings in lots of money from China that you don't really hear about.
Jesus.
So.
I'd like to see that rematch again, just to say it wasn't a fluke. And I think she is very, very good. And then whoever wins that can fight the winner of the two girls.
Yeah. Also on the card is Jack Hermanson. He's taking on Edin Shabazian. That was moved forward after a few weeks ago. And then on Friday, lads, Bellator is on again. Chris Cyborg's taking on Leslie Smith, and Ireland's own Liam McCourt is taking on Janie Harding as well. There's a fight that I'm looking out for on this. Austin Vanderford against Fabian Edwards.
Well,
Ross,
Fabian's good.
Yeah. Andy, are you aware of Austin as well?
No,
he's Mr. Van Zandt, Paige Van Zandt's. I think they're married now, but he
I
actually fought.
know.
Yeah, he fought in
the
the Contender Series 1, and then they didn't sign as well. But that's actually a massive fight in that division for Bellator as well, Ross, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2. I think it's 3 versus 4 in that division, in the middleweight division. Look, we've had Fabian on the show many times. We've met him many times. He's a really, really nice guy. I think as long as he comes out a bit more aggressive than he did against Costello Vancinas, I think he'll be able to win that fight. I think I was about to call him Van Zandt. Austin Vanderford is going to look to take that to the ground and wrestle him, but I don't know. They don't call him Mr. Tasty Shots for nothing. And I'm gonna cheer for Fabian Edwards.
Yeah, Fabian's slick, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's very
slick.
Him. Yeah, Austin, it was funny how he put the poster up with Fabian on one side and then Austin and Paige on the other. It was just so funny.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You can't beat this for it. Andy, like that sort of wraps up what's going on this week. We want to thank you very much for coming to the show. Is there anything you want to say to the Andy Ryan army that are tuning in now, that are just like looking for some sort of, like, maybe even something that you did yourself, like losing all the way cycling? Is there anything sort of you can sort of
words
say
of wisdom,
we need some words of wisdom
well,
of yourself.
I tell you what, I don't know whether it's with age. I'm 48 now next month, and I don't know whether it's because I'm getting older. You got to be a bit nicer to people. I would have been very much not aggressive, but that's sort of the competition. You know, we got to win. Fuck you, was the other side of the cage, and it's not. You know, it's sports we're involved in. You ring me to come on the podcast, no problem. Anytime, help you out. The same with other people ring. Some people get a little bit, oh, I'm a UFC coach and I think they're fucking superstars, or someone wins an MMA superstar. You know, you got to be grounded. We're all helping each other out. You guys can't operate without me. I can't operate without you. So you got to be a little bit better. So I just think for anyone that's part of our Team Rhino family, we all know that you got to help each other out. If someone's having a hard time, give them a little help out. Someone's fucking, suffering a bit, give them a ring, get out for a run, get out for a cycle. You know, someone's starting a podcast off, give them a shout. Someone's opening a gym, support the gym. Like I always say, people say, who's the best jiu-jitsu club in Ireland? I say, well, Darragh O'Connell's East Coast, they're the best. Who's the best MMA gym? It's SBG, they're the best. I'm not going to say, find the best. Be a bit humble about things. When you get things and you're rewarded for stuff, you appreciate them a bit better. And one thing I don't do, I probably do, you don't recognise our own achievements sometimes. We downplay them. If you win something or do something, put your head up high and be glad about it. You know what I mean? So, and try and help everyone out. Now, I'm saying that, and it'll probably be totally different tomorrow
now. as Kendrick Lamar would say, stay humble.
Yeah, no, you got to stay humble. You got to stay humble. You got to try and get on with people in this game. The world is a small place, and you forget that. You know what I mean? And
the MMA world is even smaller, Andy.
Even smaller, even smaller. And like, I try and support any show that's on. I've given as the Clan Wars and Cage Legacy, even though I run my own show. We've all, because I want guys getting exposure. There's no MMA shows. I've no MMA gym. People
but also, if you don't give the guys the Clan Wars and Cage Legacy, when you put on your show and you're looking for their guys, they'll be like, no as well. So you sort of, you have to, and also, you can't do a disservice to the guys who are putting in the graft in the gym that they need shows to go on. You know what I mean? And who's to say they won't go on that show and then come back and fight in your show as well?
Yeah. No.
Andy Ryan, the Ellen DeGeneres of Ireland. Be nice. Yeah. Be kind.
It's a give and take.
Yeah. Andy, thanks a minute for coming on. I told a story earlier of, I think it was off camera, where I was at Bellator Dublin press day and I got Andy to take a picture of me and Redzer, and Andy just took a lot of selfies of himself. I didn't realize till after, but Andy, thanks a million. You're some character. Ross, anything else to say before we wrap things up?
No, thanks a million for your time, Andy. We really appreciate it. Do keep us in the loop when you're running your own shows, or if you need us to shout anything out whatsoever, we'll definitely do it for you. For those who are watching at home, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Andy, do you have one more thing to say?
No, just like when we're doing the next maybe squad in Dublin, why don't you just come along and maybe meet some of the coaches and the fighters and have a chat and see what we actually do,
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't think that was the smart thing to say. But yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can what's it called? You can wrap us up like pretzels, and we can we can see
I just tell
firsthand.
the lads, we have 2 lads going down with a punch their fucking heads in.
Yeah, just mention
Now,
the two
Ollie, you know, you
heavyweights.
should come
Mention the
down.
two heavyweights come down.
Yeah, no, come down and have a look. You know, meet the coach, see how we run a session, see what it's all about, see who's involved. You know, it'd be good. It'd be good for the sport. It'd be good for you guys as well.
100%.
Grand. Well, what's called, and you know what? Fingers isn't too far from me, so we'll come down when you guys are back open, the two of us.
Yeah, where are you coming from now? Where you live?
Griffith Avenue.
Oh no, it's too posh. Can't come up.
Too posh. Redzer said I was a hard fuck the last time we met him. He goes, "You're well hard." That's exactly what he said.
That's
absolute lie. Absolute lie.
But no, Andy, we'll definitely take you up now. Like now they're all
no
best
problem.
mates. Now they're all best mates. We'll call them for dinner later on. But if you are new to the show, make sure to like, make sure to share, make sure to subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.